Hello, friends and family from around the world. This is Mike with Daily Events Worldwide, and we are on December 13th, 2022. Welcome to another surviving day on the planet, and welcome to the Daily Do, giving you your space weather update, as well earthquakes, volcanoes, and a look at world weather. This is the last 48 hours of imagery brought to you by Solar Dynamics Observatory, looking at 304 angstroms here, many sunspot regions, no major CMEs nor solar flares thwarted our way, but those Earth-facing sunspots do remain barely active. Looking at the last 48 hours incoming, we have a coronal hole developing in the southern hemisphere, and as well another sunspot region just cresting around there below the equator. Looking at outgoing imagery here, a few small B-class and C-class solar flares in an outgoing position, and as well that quickly building sunspot which was noted a couple days ago. Having a look at multi-spectrum here, all of the last 2 days of events, active regions there in the southern hemisphere, and as well in the outgoing position, Earth facing, and an interesting plasma filament twisting around in the northern hemisphere. That large plasma filament is stretched right across the north pole of our sun. Another view here, and we're able to see that black darkened region in the southern hemisphere that is turning into an Earth-facing position, a large stretched out coronal hole. And that vertical plasma filament managed to stay on the surface of the sun, mixing back in with the heliosphere. A quick look here at the sunspot regions as they are forming and twisting around. We had 6 sunspot regions Earth-facing. Solar X-ray flux a little bit heightened here in the last little bit, but in a low C range. Solar proton flux slightly elevated today. Geomagnetic activity sitting at a KP1. Real-time solar wind sitting at 393 kilometers per second after being up last night up to about 500 kilometers per second and topping out at 513 yesterday. ISWA space prediction spiral showing all of the sun's energy coming towards us as we are just on the verge now of a space weather event as we were expecting this space weather to come in. 13th to the 15th. Schumann resonance for today, another power of 11. Quick look at our telemetry as it was hopping overnight. Quality of 6.3, amplitude of 11, power of 10. Now let's get to earthquakes past 24 hours as we're sitting up a little bit. USGS reporting about 220 earthquakes across the USGS map. Yesterday it hopped up a little bit with a small swarm at Cobb Mountain, California. But we're going to start out here with the largest the last 24 hours of 5.7 south of Nazi, Japan. That is through the Volcano Islands region. And as well a 5.2 ringing out here, Indonesia, Amlapura City. Seeing a couple minor earthquakes in the region. And as well moving eastward, most recently, Wangapu, Indonesia, 80 kilometer depth, 4.7. And then lots of activity through the Banda Sea, 5.3, 4.7 there. Quiet through the Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea. Then we get to the Fiji region, the Kermadec, 5.4 there, 60 kilometer depth. That could be a sign of something more to come. And as well, a couple deep earthquakes here, 422 kilometer depth. 4.8 and 4.9. Moving on here over to the Indian Plate and Burma, Sabang, Indonesia, 4.9 magnitude, as well as 4.9 there in northern China. Tajikistan, 4.1, as well Iran, Tabas, Iran, sizable 5.2 earthquake ringing out there, as well as 4.4 in Biga, Turkey, 10 kilometer depth, and a 4.2 in Greece. 74 kilometer depth though heads up, we could see more activity through the region in the next 24 hours. Carrying on here over to the Caribbean plate, as things have quieted down since yesterday, largest through the region being a 3.8. And then South America, still very quiet in my mind. San Antonio de los Cobros, 189 kilometer depth, 4.5 magnitude. Largest through that region was the 5.5 yesterday in Panama. And then we get to the United States, North American plate, where it's still pretty quiet and very quiet. It's gone quiet in Hawaii and increasing minor activity up into Alaska. Now let's have a look across the North American plate. According to USGS, as you can see, not too much happening there. 220 earthquakes. And then we get to Canada. Lots of activity. Minor activity moving into Port Hardy off the coast of British Columbia. And as well, what's going on in Alberta. Reno, Alberta. Peace River region. Still seeing many earthquakes. They've seen about 30 this week since they saw the 5.1 earthquake ring out. Even minor activity all through the foothills there. Interesting activity. Ottawa region. Heading up the St. Laurent Sound. 3.5, and that was reported back on the 15th of November. And then we get to Nunavut, up into the Baffin Bay region. Just wanted to give you a glance at earthquakes for Canada, as we do have them, and many of them. A lot of recent activity up into the Pacific Northwest, Washington region. Heads up. Quick browse here at the last 7 days for shakers across the planet. Lots of deep earthquakes the last few days, Fiji region, and we still have not really seen residual effect from that deep earthquake. Most times we can expect a larger and shallow earthquake to follow. We have not really seen that yet. But increasing activity through the Philippines plate is a little bit concerning, and into the Banda Sea. And as well, Indian plate movement over into Europe, to the Arabian plate. This is the last 7 days for earthquakes across our world, with daily events worldwide, keeping you aware and prepared to all of the seismicity across the planet. Now, I wanted to show you here some interesting developments across the northern hemisphere. Satellite imagery showing the North Pacific and the Atlantic and over the United States. 4 very large low-pressure systems, and one of them over the United States has brought some pretty extreme weather as tornadoes were dropping through Texas state and as well Alabama and Louisiana. Very vigorous system. That was a large Pacific low that pretty much raked down the west coast of the United States, and it is now over central regions of the United States. And just look at the size of this thing. Low pressure center over the state of Nebraska right now. But waves of moisture and stormy conditions through Texas and bordering states, and that will carry on here over the next 24 hours and then heat up again tomorrow. Having a look here at the Pacific Disaster Center showing the most recent volcanoes getting updated. Nevadas de Ruiz in Colombia, Fuego in Guatemala. Tornado alerts there, Chevreport. Popocatépetl in Mexico. Cotopaxi in Ecuador. Sangay in Ecuador. Semeru, Indonesia. Era in Japan. Sabancaya in Peru. That's all in the last 4 hours, folks. Reventador in Ecuador. So that's about 6 volcanoes getting updated just in the past 4 hours amongst the 52 that are active and erupting across the planet. Quick browse here around the world for our weather, as we have many flooding alerts and warnings across every continent right now. Things are really ramping up in the northern hemisphere, some big systems, as well as the southern hemisphere, long line of moisture there just east of New Zealand. and some pretty snowy and cold conditions moving into Russia and as well Eastern Europe. Tropical depression Manso is now past India and heading towards Sea of Yemen. And big system now coming into Spain. Flood alerts already through coastal regions. Extreme cold temperatures, Ireland, and as well Central Europe. Quick look here at windy.com showing the windy models for the next few days, as we have those big systems in the northern hemisphere to deal with. Stormy conditions tonight and into tomorrow. Low pressure center gaining some more moisture from Canada. But as this system heads through Ontario, watch for freezing rain and some pretty dangerous driving conditions for Thursday. But then by Friday, could see upwards of 20 centimeters of snow in the regions of Ontario. Stormy conditions here developing by next Tuesday into Wednesday for Gulf states and through Florida. And let's just have a look at forecast models for snow totals for the next little bit. Looks like we're going to have snow right across Canada and every province. Up to 90 centimeters in parts of Wisconsin, 50 centimeters in parts of northeastern United States, and 90 centimeters through the Atlantic provinces. Coastal regions of Alaska up to upwards of 200 centimeters. And then eastern Russia and Japan, some pretty heavy snowfall totals there. 380 centimeters through Kamchatka, 170 centimeters through western regions of Japan, and then overlooking Europe. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to smack that like button. Maybe share with your friends and family. Keep this channel growing. Thanks to all the memberships. Stay aware, prepared, stay young and have fun, and get your daily due. We'll see you next video. Bye-bye now. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends and family from across the world.